Welcome to episode 2 of the Times Lakers show. I'm LA Times Lakers beat writer Dan Woike. He's LA Times NBA impresario, Brad Turner.
Spell that word. That's what I thought.
BT, between the two of us, we have like 6 decades of NBA experience between us? I know I've got 1. You've got about 5.
I've got 5.5, I think.
I remember you were Oscar Robertson's first interview. Pretty amazing. Before we get started today, I need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. I am not there in person. I am home getting ready to clear isolation. But, we cooked up a way for BT to feel comfortable that I am there. So, BT, why don't you tell everybody what you're looking at in that room right now?
I'm looking at a very large head right now on a screen.
It is just like I'm there.
No, I like this. It looks like we're preparing for Halloween even. Look at the hands. I like this.
I'm all bones after this bout with illness here over the past week, but I'm happy to report I will be back at work here in the next couple of days.
I hope so. It's a long flight back from Denver, buddy.
BT, you're fresh off the plane. Let's just get right into this. The Lakers had their season opener. I know watching it, my biggest thing watching that game was, oh my God, the Denver Nuggets are in a different class than everybody else. This team is going to be really, really hard to beat. That was my biggest takeaway, was this is the favorite in the West by a lot.
I kept thinking that Denver still has the best starting 5 in the NBA. And one of those players actually played for the Lakers, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. First I saw DeAndre Jordan in the hallway before the game. And if you know anything about DJ, he can be a clown. And he was being clownish, asking me, why are you here? What are you doing here?
Word? That's the best. He's the master of the telling you to bleep off, but it being nice.
Very nice. He's like, what are you doing here? Then he goes, nice suit. I said, DJ, of course it's a nice suit. It's BT, man. And then
That's right.
But he goes, then he says it's an ugly suit because he's DJ. Then I saw KCP. He gave me a hug. We shook hands. I said, KCP, ring number 2. And he says, before the game starts, I'm going for ring number 3. And after the game was over, I thought they might get a back-to-back title in Denver. They are that good.
Yeah, so it's, there's been some interesting stuff with Denver over the last week or so. I think Calvin Booth, the GM, said something in an interview where he'd kind of mentioned how, he thought maybe the team was a little tired. Michael Malone has talked about, I think the challenges of, the repeat, and everybody knows it's really hard to win a second one, right? It's super hard in a lot of ways, harder than the first, if not almost always harder to win the second than the first. It does sort of feel like, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. It feels like we're looking at a dynasty potentially in the West.
A dynasty even,
these guys.
Okay.
Everybody's chasing these guys, BT. They are an exquisitely built basketball team. They're all in their prime. If they stay healthy, good luck, everybody.
And they're fun to watch play.
It was
the
so
fans
fun to watch.
Were going crazy. I will say this. My best moment last night at that game was hearing their fans chant, "Who's your daddy?"
How about that?
I thought that was pretty funny.
The new beat LA. Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
Let's talk about the Lakers in this, right? So to break down the game, Darvin Ham said after the game they thought, you can't come out flat in these circumstances. I don't think they came out flat, to be totally honest. I think they played 6 pretty good minutes to start the game. Denver made everything, and the Lakers still led. And then LeBron James went to the bench and it kind of fell apart.
They got down 18 in the second quarter, early in the second quarter. That can't happen against any team on the road, let alone Denver. So there was an uphill battle from that point on. I think they got within 3 in the fourth quarter, and then Denver stretched it out again, and they got within 7 in the fourth quarter, and then Denver just went on one of their typical runs.
Did it feel close ever?
Even when they were down 3, and Denver called a timeout, and they came out and got an open 3. At that moment, I thought Denver has an answer to everything the Lakers have. No matter what they try, what they do, the Nuggets are ready for this. Even though they are the defending champions, they were the team that played until June, so they had the least amount of rest. They had an answer for everything the Lakers threw at them. And I kept thinking maybe if the game is tied, if the Lakers can take a lead in the fourth quarter, they would have a chance, and maybe Denver's emotions would catch up to them. But, well, that never happened.
Yeah, it never felt like, I mean, there were a couple like swing shots that it was sort of like, okay, here's an opportunity for Gabe Vincent to step in and hit a big three, or Rui Hachimura to step in and hit a big three, to kind of like really like, push back when Denver kind of tried to snuff out a Laker run, and they just missed all those shots. I think, watching the game, BT, it's a different perspective. Watching on TV, I kind of felt like it was sort of a fine opener. I wasn't overly impressed with the Lakers. I thought, they missed a lot of easy shots, which happens early in the season. I think that a lot of things they talked about trying to address in terms of like, transition defense,
Yes.
playing with the pass and stuff like that. I thought a lot of that kind of went to the wayside in the game. I thought they dribbled a lot, a little too much one-on-one. Transition defense was bad. I mean, Nikola Jokic beats Anthony Davis down the court all the time. It is, for a guy that is like big and slow, that dude runs the floor. Awesome.
Don't call that man big, Dan.
You look at him and you expect him to move like a glacier, and he doesn't. Like he gets the ball and goes, and he was beating the Lakers on the court all game. I think that's going to be a year-long thing with this team. They're going to have to play this way. I thought LeBron James looked really sharp. I thought, getting downhill, getting to the rim, he was more active, more aggressive. I apologize if you guys can hear my dog going nuts in the background. He also feels strongly about all of this stuff. But like, I think, to me, it was just sort of like, like they played okay. And if you're going to play okay against the Denver Nuggets, you're probably going to lose.
But then look, in the end, it's game one.
Game one.
The Lakers have 81 more games to go.
Oh my God.
So there's time to get this right. But they can't mess around and start 2-10 and expect there to be miracles again like there were last year.
They're not going to be 2-10.
I agree, but if you're a Laker fan, you're already thinking the world is falling, the year is over. Can we move on to next year? Who are we going to get in the draft? Who are we going to get as a free agent next summer? No, Laker fans, have some patience. It's only one game.
PT, they missed Jared Vanderbilt in that game.
Yes.
I know Taurean Prince hit some really big shots, played really well. We could talk about him a little bit in the next segment, but they missed Jared Vanderbilt's defense. I think that's going to be a thing for this team, especially on the point of attack. Denver was way more physical, especially early in the game, set the tone. It's why the Lakers didn't get calls.
Look, there's room for improvement. And you hear every coach in the NBA say it's about the process. So this is basically step one of the process. What do they do in step two? And in step 3, step 4, step 10, step 20, step 80. There's a long way to go.
I want to let's get in the weeds about some individual players here. Let's go deep on these guys. And I want to start with LeBron James, the most important Laker in a lot of ways. BT, kind of big news out of the opener. Does LeBron James have a minutes limit?
He played 29 last night.
Yeah.
I would say that LeBron James does. Based on what Darvin Ham said, based on the look on LeBron's face, he understands that. I think LeBron is still dealing with the ego part of it. Last year he played almost, 35 minutes a game?
Yes.
Something like that. So now they're saying, based on talking to doctors, talking to the medical staff, talking to the trainers, that we think is best at this stage of his career, which is season 21. And LeBron will be 39 in December. By the way, it's a Capricorn, Dan, like I am. I think it's the right thing to do. Maybe it increases to 32 or so, but the 35-minute limit, those days I think are over until perhaps the playoffs. But that's a long way away.
I mean, my first sort of reaction to this was I give it 2 weeks. It was kind of my first sort of we've heard BT versions of this through training camp, really every year since LeBron James joined the Lakers. The only other opener in which he played fewer than 30 minutes with the Lakers was on their Lakers ring night in 2020, right?
Right.
And that would have been because, the season ended like a week before. Right. So, look, I know two things. One, right, any decision about LeBron James and his body and things like minutes is not being made without LeBron James being at least a part of the conversation. He has certainly earned the right.
No, Dan, not a part of the conversation.
He is the
The
conversation.
conversation.
He is the conversation.
Right.
No one is telling LeBron what to do when it comes to his body. Like, he has made that a part of sort of his ethos in the NBA. It's actually one of his sort of, I think will be one of his sort of legacies, how players have like kind of really taken control of their own health. LeBron does it as much as anybody. I have a hard time imagining him sitting over there for 18 minutes watching that.
I thought the same thing too when I looked at the box score. How could this happen? Where he's sitting there on the bench and you watch him go to the sideline. And because it was Denver, high altitude, there were a few times he walked over there and I thought he needs a break, because of the high altitude. But the idea that it was only 29 minutes, and Darvin did say that could change. LeBron's body language and the way he talked to us in the post-game interviews was like, yeah, it's going to change. But how much? To what degree?
As this team like gets into tight games, like he's going to play more. I also think though, BT, and this goes back to the summer, this team is sort of built for him to not have to do as much. Like that's kind of really the idea in a lot of ways. And I kind of applaud the Lakers for sticking to that, at least early. We'll see. I think it's going to be a little bit of a showdown. Like I said, I give it 2 weeks. Who knows? I do think one of the interesting fallouts of a limited LeBron sort of diet when it comes to minutes is like enough of this, like pass the torch, like it's going to take a little, like it's Anthony Davis, it's yours. You're going to be out there more. It's yours. Like there will be no formal grabbing of it. There will be no, you have earned it. Like, nope, it is yours because you are going to play 7 to 8 more minutes a game than this guy. And quite frankly, like he's got to be better than he was in the opener. I think he had a tremendous first half, did a great job attacking Nikola Jokic when Jokic got into foul trouble. I'm just going to say like he just kind of fell out of rhythm at halftime. BT, I went back and rewatched the missed shots from AD and like there are a couple layups that kind of went in and out, a jumper that went in and out. I don't really feel like he settled for anything. I kind of think he attacked. He didn't get to the line. And then the Lakers kind of went away from him. What was the vibe in the locker room when it came to, 81 shot in the fourth quarter, BT. We've been telling that story for a couple years now.
You said before that AD takes losing hard. And he did again. And he put it on himself again. But some Laker fans are sort of tired of that.
Sure.
They want to still see him be productive. I just thought the word that Darvin Ham used was meeting aggression with aggression. And those missed layups that AD missed in the second half, in the fourth quarter, were not, in my view, aggressive attacks, where you're attacking the rim to try and tear it down versus just trying to get a layup out of it. Dunk on someone's head.
I thought he was foul hunting a little bit, BT.
Right. And that's not, you get the foul by being aggressive, by attacking the rim, and he knows that. But he was 0 for 6 from the field in the second half. And that just can't happen. I got text messages from a couple of scouts, and they were asking, where is Anthony Davis here in the second half? My response was, he's out there, he's just not producing. Meanwhile, you got Jokic having another triple-double. That cannot feel good if you're AD.
Jokic gives him trouble. We can just say it, right? Like, Nikola Jokic gives him trouble.
Yes. But let's be real.
Defensive.
Jokic gives the entire league trouble. Let's be real about that now.
Can I give credit to Nikola Jokic for something no one ever gives him credit for?
What's that?
I think he does a pretty good job defending Anthony Davis. He did not in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals last year. AD, I think, had 40. But like his size, like he does a really great job of like creating contact, absorbing contact without fouling. Like because he's so big, like he's like all chest and arms and stuff. Like it's just a hard matchup for Anthony Davis. Hey, I want to ask you about some of the new guys. We brought up Torian Prince earlier. I mean, A+ debut, right, BT?
Oh, very impressive from the start to the end. I'm not surprised by that because he's a professional, but he made shots. And the Lakers need someone like Torian Prince to make outside shots. He played solid. It's not very good defense at times. Gabe Vincent was just sort of okay. I mean, I think I expected more out of him for some reason, but he still looked, I guess, out of sorts playing with these guys. Maybe it's because he missed the last, 1 or 2 preseason games?
I think at least the last 2 preseason games with back tightness. Hasn't really been on the court a lot. Did not look in particularly good rhythm, I didn't think. Can I do something that I didn't think I would be doing?
What's that, Dan? Sure.
Cam Reddish looked like a guy who could help the Lakers.
You know, I have thought the same thing, Dan.
That is not a train that I have been on. I think, I talked to a couple scouts, a couple executives who have worked with Cam in previous spots, play, at Atlanta and in New York specifically. And, they rave about the talent and they don't have particularly bad things to say about the person. It's just sort of, again, like a disconnect between like the NBA player you want to be and the NBA player you can be. Right. And filling that gap is difficult. This is a situation. There is not a lot of room for Cam Reddish to go out there and like be a star on a team that has LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And if you can somehow streamline like what he is capable of doing, and he came out, the first shot he took was an awful 3-pointer. He missed it badly. But I think defensively, I said that earlier they missed Jared Vanderbilt. He gave them some of that length against Jamal Murray.
He did.
Guarded him, I think, pretty well. Finished a +7 off the bench. Didn't expect that after his preseason. Interesting game from him.
He made one play in which I think he missed a shot. They got the rebound. The Nuggets got the rebound, that is. And he stole the ball. And he was down on that side of the court, maybe 1-on-3. He decided to take it to the basket, and he took it and scored on the layup with no other Lakers around. And I thought, that's great play by him because he stole the pass, and he decided, well, I'm also going to attack the basket. And he scored a layup. So that showed me another step in the right direction for Cam Reddish.
Wild overreaction to the opener. I think the Lakers need more size and physicality. And he's
But what did I tell you about more size last night, Dan?
What?
They are not going to grow.
Yeah.
They're past the growing stage.
BT, I want to do a segment here called This Week in Narrative.
Okay.
Let's whip around the league a little bit. There is a story that I love. I love this type of story, BT. James Harden still wants to be traded. How long is this showdown going to go? Do you think he'll play for the Sixers?
Yes, James will play because James is still a basketball player, still loves the game. He just thinks that the front office, that guy that he wouldn't name, as he said in China, he lied to him. So James is not happy. Some of the Sixers are not happy. But the one thing I would say is, if James does get traded, he still needs to be in shape. And you can only be in shape by playing the game and playing the game the right way. You can't stay in shape working out in Houston, playing one-on-one with non-NBA players or old retired NBA players. You have to go and play the game because if he does get traded to another team, to give them his best, his body has to be ready. It can't be...
Yeah, that elliptical work.
No,
that elliptical
that
work won't keep up.
So the idea has to be that go back, play, and then force their hand. Let the Sixers know that I'm here now. I acted out. I got through it. Or maybe he didn't act out. He was gone for personal reasons. So maybe he's cool now. Maybe he's in a good place mentally. I don't know.
I mean, sure. I think he still wants to be... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here to me, and like we experienced this a little bit with Russell Westbrook last year, and maybe we can sort of unpack this a little bit, because there is a disconnect in the NBA between James Harden's talent, which is still undeniable, and James Harden's value, which is seemingly very low, right?
Right.
Why is that?
It's a good question.
Like, where's the
Dan.
what fills that space between those two things? I mean, is it no defense? Is it that James Harden has to have the ball a ton, and we've seen a track record of James Harden having the ball a ton and it not leading to championships? Is it the fact that he's, every year and a half seemingly now wants a new address?
I think it's all those things. Style of play. James
Yep.
is at his best with the ball in his hands. And
Mhm.
during the first 82 games, which is the regular season, he's damn good at it, if not one of the best. But once you get to game 83, which would be the playoffs, he has not been that same player. And that's what it comes down to. How do you perform in the playoffs? Are you a star? Are you a superstar? Are you putting up numbers? Are you winning? Or are you just back to someone that dribbles a lot, perhaps too much, shoots a lot of threes, perhaps too much? Are you helping your team push toward an NBA title and so forth? James has not done that.
So why would the Clippers want him? I mean, like, other than the sort of like, we're giving up pennies on the dollar to get him sort of argument, because I think both of us have heard versions of like their lack of interest in trading Terrence Mann for James Harden, that's not something they're interested in. And you look, I mean, Terrence Mann is a guy who helps you when he doesn't have the basketball. I think, to me, and this was crystallized again watching watching the Lakers in Denver last night, and watching Denver's supporting players, and even a little bit watching Phoenix, BT, and watching Kevin Durant had a very bad shooting game last night. Kevin Durant still super active on the boards, still is, because of like the way he plays and does sort of the right stuff, and like allowed Devin Booker to really take over. I mean, if you have James Harden and you have Russell Westbrook and you have Kawhi Leonard,
Yes.
and you have Paul George,
Yes.
isn't that too many guys? Like, one basketball, like they need the pinball multi-ball.
That is very true. Two things with the Clippers. They love to stockpile talent. So that's more talent they would have. Number two would be Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have not played a full season in how long?
It's insurance.
Russell Westbrook, for everything you think about him, he plays.
Yep.
James Harden, for whatever you think about him, he plays in games. So you always have that insurance that James would be available to play for you, even if Paul can't play for whatever the reason might be. He's injured, or because Kawhi is injured. Imagine Kawhi and Paul are out again, and you still have Russell, and you have James Harden. That's still a damn good team.
It's a good problem. I will tell you though, BT, it is. The more I think about it, I think it's something that, even if it goes well, let's say the Clippers do make this trade and it goes well, it really doesn't go well, because if James Harden plays well and is happy, you're gonna have to pay him.
Oh yeah.
And if he comes here and he doesn't play well and it doesn't work, you're either gonna have to pay him to keep him, or it's not gonna work. And
But you know what,
you're sort of,
Dan? What I would be curious to see, if the Clippers do get James Harden, how much does he change his game to fit in with the two stars, the two dogs on their team, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George?
I mean, he changed a little bit in Philly, a little.
He did.
He changed a
So
little
we know he
bit
can do that, right? We saw that happen.
He can, but on offense he can, but he can't help you on defense. He cannot.
He cannot, but hold on. The Clippers have two of the best wing defenders in the NBA in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. How many teams can say they have two outstanding defensive players?
Boston.
Okay, one. Give me 20 more. Obviously, you know I'm a big fan of Clipper coach Tyronn Lue.
That's your guy.
If anyone can make it happen, Tyronn Lue can make it happen.
One last thought quick for me, BT. I watched Suns Warriors last night while you were working in Denver. The West is going to be awesome. this year. It's going to be so fun. Winning 45 games in this conference is going to be a real achievement.
I'm thinking whoever has the best record in the West, I'm going to say that team will have 57 wins.
Our producer, Mark Potts, says the Thunder are going to win the West. Potts, that got me in trouble. That
Yeah.
take got me in already in the first one. Yeah, this was a fun episode, BT. I enjoyed it. I look forward to getting back into the studio with you soon. I will be there. I know I look a little bony today in person there, but let me tell you, I'm much more rounded and fleshed out in person. Reminder, find us on YouTube at the LA Times YouTube page. Subscribe, comment, like, shoot us emails, shoot us tweets, X's, or whatever. Shoot me an X and with a
Shoot me an X too, and I'll X you back.